I have heard from so many people over the years that they don't like watching the news because of all the violence and negative stories that get covered. And I want to say that we don't like showing our community hurting either, but violence, it keeps happening, and we'd be remiss not to talk about it. So we are here to inform you, but we're also here to move the conversation forward because it really is incumbent upon all of us to make our communities a better place. And in North Sacramento, there were two separate incidences just this morning. Police shot a man and children saw a large police response while on their playground. And we are going to focus on the people that are working to make things better. But first, we got to tell you what actually happened. So Roxanne Elias is at the scene where police shot a man. And Roxanne, what do we know about what unfolded this morning?
Alex, there are still several police officers out here leading the investigation. They're asking neighbors for surveillance video or cell phone video that could have caught the incident that happened right up the road here at the intersection of El Camino and Cantalier Street. Now, this incident ended here after a car was reported stolen yesterday afternoon in Del Paso Heights. Sacramento police say an officer noticed the same vehicle parked on a curb, and as the officer made contact, there was a suspect inside of that vehicle. Sacramento police say the man was non-compliant and there was a struggle between the man and the officer. Police say a taser was used multiple times, but it was ineffective.
The suspect was able to gain access to the driver's seat of that carjacked vehicle and attempted to flee the scene. When the suspect fled the scene, there was a collision involving one of our officers on foot. That officer sustained moderate injuries and was transported to the hospital.
At the time of the crash, police say two officers discharged their weapons. Their suspect was then found at an area hospital with at least one gunshot wound. He has non-life-threatening injuries. Now, we're just learning a few minutes ago that the officer has been released from the hospital. We're also learning that the suspect has been identified as a 32-year-old man. He will be facing charges, but that all just depends on the investigation. Alex?
All right, Roxanne, thank you so much. And another crime scene not too far away from the first forced Las Palmas Elementary School near Norwood and Rio Linda Boulevard into lockdown. And kids were outside on the playground watching everything unfold. Although the lockdown only lasted about 10 minutes, I mean, this is not what parents were expecting to bring their children to school this morning. And that brings us back to our discussion about solutions. How do we stop this violence and make our community a better place? We spoke with community leaders from North Sacramento about what they think needs to be done.
I think that we certainly need more police presence, but making sure that they reach out to the community to let them know that they're there to protect and not to do otherwise. And I think another thing that is needed is more community services so that individuals and children are distracted and are kept safe and manage, the stress of the environment. Our community, we feel, has been neglected for many years, and we've been reaching out to the city council members and our elected officials so that they can provide the services that we need so that our kids grow up to be successful members of the community. I think that, doing a lot better job of coordinating with communities on where projects are located and what projects are being rolled out. And certainly working with the community on the homelessness issue. I think that's also, unfortunately, one of the drivers of at least some of the violence, not all of it, but some of it.
It's disheartening that this happens in our community, and it almost becomes kind of like, oh, it's happening again, and it's unfortunate to have that kind of an attitude. But I think prevention is key. Like, we need more investments in our community, and we need more investments in our youth. We're in the process of applying for a grant to do that exact thing. Is clean up the community, clean up those vacant lots, and get a sense of pride in with the youth in the community about the space that we live in. Contribute to a community feeling good, youth engaging youth in improving the environment and the space that we live in. The importance of engaging the community and having a sense of pride and ownership and belonging.
And we've been saying North Sacramento, which is neighbored by communities like South Natomas, Gardenland, and Del Paso Heights. All are located on the north side of downtown Sacramento, on the other side of the American River. And tonight, ABC 10 is exclusively reporting the family of a man who died after an arrest by Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies is now suing the county in federal court. Becca Habegger spoke with the family today and their attorney. And Becca, we've been following this since day one.
Yeah, you know, this is the case of 48-year-old Sharano Stingley. He was the man who died in the hospital days after an arrest in December by Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies left him unconscious. The sheriff's office says they were responding to a report of a man under someone's truck in a Sacramento County neighborhood near Stockton Boulevard and Gerber Road. The family says he was having a mental health crisis and was searching for his daughter's home in the same neighborhood. Body camera video shows he initially complied with deputies, but then a struggle started. By the fourth minute, he appeared to pass out. Now, in this lawsuit filed today, Stingley's family and attorneys claim those deputies, and by extension, the sheriff's office and the county, violated Stingley's civil and constitutional rights.
He's constantly on my mind, constantly on my mind. So I have to get justice for my son, because they didn't do him right at all.
Yeah, I'm obsessing over this. Let everybody know that what they did to my dad is hard for me. It's really hard for me every day to see like that he's not home.
And Becca, you also reached out to the county to get their response. What did the county have to say?
Yeah, you know, we got confirmation of the filing of this federal civil rights complaint late in the afternoon. So we have reached out to Sacramento County and the sheriff's office. The county spokesperson replied and said they are looking into our request for a response. Meanwhile, here's what the family's attorney had to say.
In this case, it's obvious that Sharano's death was not an accident, but it was a result of the method by which they subdued him, restrained him, and used force against him, which in our analysis so far, given what we have, is clearly excessive and a violation of the federal and state constitutional provisions.
And Becca, I also want to mention the family is asking for more body camera video to be released, right?
Yeah, you know, at this point, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office has released just one body camera video. The family wants all of the deputies' body camera videos released, saying it will show a fuller picture of what happened to their loved one. And now for its part, the Sheriff's Office says they don't believe they're required to release more. And though they might in the future, they don't plan on releasing any more video anytime soon.
All right, Becca, thank you so much. All right, a community meeting is underway in Oak Park right now about the expansion of UC Davis in Sacramento. So when we come back, we'll look at how it's impacting housing. This is a live look at the meeting that's happening right now at the Oak Park Community Center. That's where neighbors from the Oak Park, Elmhurst, and the Tahoe Park communities are gathered for an update on UC Davis's Aggie Square project. Tonight, the city of Sacramento is presenting more about the affordable housing that's going to be a part of the project and the results of a housing survey. And if you haven't heard about Aggie Square, it's a more than $1 billion mixed-use building project, and it's being built in the area near Stockton Boulevard and 2nd Avenue out in Oak Park. And the idea behind it is to grow the UC Davis presence in Sacramento. And the blueprint includes plans for 4 large buildings. Between them, there will be classrooms, research labs, commercial offices, and also student housing. And we've spoken to people who live in these areas. And one of the largest concerns that we've heard is that people are being priced out of their homes. To combat that, the city of Sacramento already committed $5 million to help with the displacement back in late 2021. Last week, Mayor Steinberg announced $10 million more. So this is how the city says that it's going to use that $10 million. So 50 families will get help from Habitat for Humanity for repairs. 90 will get funding to help pay some bills. 100 low-income and homeless people will get funding to help them find housing. And then 25 households will get money to help buy their first home. Now, according to the city, the initial plan for Aggie Square has built in a fund of $50 million to help with affordable housing along the Stockton Boulevard corridor. As of now, we don't exactly know how that money is going to be used. Our research found that about 20,000 people live between these 3 neighborhoods. All right, and we do want to know your thoughts about the Aggie Square development, so you can always text us at 916-321-3310, or you can send an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. All right, Southwest was in the hot seat today. One U.S. senator calling thousands of canceled holiday flights an epic screw-up, and just wait until you hear how many planes actually flew with no passengers on board. All right, here are some of the other stories that people are talking about today. There was a groundbreaking for a new charter school in Del Paso Heights located on Arden Way. It's opening its doors with only 9th grade students and will continue adding other grades as students complete their degrees. The school is targeting students who would be their first in their families to attend college.
It was really important to locate in a high needs area. We have within a 5-mile radius of this campus the 49th, 50 lowest median income neighborhoods. There's just a great demand for school choice and some alternative options, really to support all students and get them to the finish line.
8 people are under arrest in connection to a ring of thefts at Apple stores throughout the state. In all, about $1 million in merchandise was stolen. California's Attorney General says the crimes happened between August and January. And ranking U.S. Senator Ted Cruz is calling Southwest Airlines' holiday meltdown an epic screw-up. The airline's chief operating officer was grilled by lawmakers today, and ABC News reports that the airline operated 500 empty flights while passengers were stranded over the holidays. Southwest canceled more than 16,000 flights over an 11-day period in December due to weather, staffing shortages, and tech issues. Obviously, Department of Transportation is investigating. Next week, PG&E is expected to plead not guilty to 4 counts of felony manslaughter and other alleged crimes in the 2020 Zogg Fire. PG&E admits that power lines sparked the fire that killed these 4 people, but denies criminal wrongdoing. Prosecutors accuse the company of criminal negligence for failing to cut the hazardous tree that fell onto power lines in a 2020 windstorm. Of course, you already know our Firepower Money team was in Reading for the entirety of these preliminary hearings. Brandon, the hearing ended in the judge binding PG&E over for trial, right?
Yeah, which is what it sounds like. It means that PG&E now legally has to answer for these 11 charges. 20 of the charges got tossed out. Their air contamination charges didn't stick because of the way the judge is interpreting the law. But the big charges, the manslaughter, the reckless arson, they will have to face trial on that. They do have several more machinations in the legal system that could stand between us in a trial. We can get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, and we heard from a lot of witnesses that the hearings were basically like a mini trial. So what's the biggest revelation here? Yeah, it was something of a mini trial. We had a bunch of testimony, and for my money, I think the biggest revelation came from PG&E manager Ken Loomis. He took the stand and basically said that he put in a warning in writing back in 2019 saying our inspectors aren't always walking 360 degrees around the tree unless they see a problem standing by the power line. Well, the particular tree that caused the Zogg Fire had a big gouge, a big missing section of the trunk down towards the bottom of the tree, but it was on the back side if you were looking up the hill from the power lines. So it appears that several rounds of inspectors didn't walk 360 degrees around that tree, according to the prosecutor. He warned that this was resulting in legal vulnerability for the company. Sure enough, he's now on the stand in a criminal court. All right, and a slight gear change here, but your reporting is also gaining some attention across the country. Tell everyone a little bit about that. Yeah, believe it or not, this is all to set you up for an art story. We're about to introduce you to the artist who made this.
In a big city like Chicago, it's not weird to see an activist slapping up signs. What's unusual here is the poster. It's an art piece about a power company 3,000 miles away. Behind the mask is art student Ray Engelbrecht. She grew up in Northern California, in PG&E's monopoly. You called it a propaganda poster.
It is a little bit of one, yeah.
Ray's poster shows a PG&E power line sparking a fire, and with big bold letters, "This is not a crime."
The original idea for the piece actually came from a famous painting by a Belgian artist named René Magritte. The painting is called The Treachery of Images, and it's a painting of an image of a pipe. And below the picture are the words, "This is not a pipe."
It's been said art imitates life.
We did not commit a crime.
That's CEO Patty Poppe explaining that PG&E was going to plead not guilty to felony manslaughter charges. This PG&E circuit sparked the Zogg Fire, killing 4 people in Shasta County. Prosecutors say PG&E contractors marked this damaged tree as a hazard back in 2018, but PG&E never removed it. 2 years later, in 2020, it fell on the power line.
It's a little heartbreaking because we keep letting it happen over and over again.
The next year, something similar happened to a place Ray loves.
I'm still a little bit bitter about it, because it was such a beautiful place, and it still is such a beautiful place, and I'm so lucky that everyone I know got out safely.
The Dixie Fire burned down the town of Greenville in 2021, along with the nearby Copper Creek Camp. Ray's parents worked at that camp when they were kids.
And I went for 9 years. And I intended to keep going back, but because of the Dixie Fire, it's not exactly a camp anymore.
Like activists of old, Ray designed her poster for mass production. Not only does she post them, but when her classmates go home on break, she sends them home with stacks.
That sounds like a little bit more than your standard I had an assignment to do at art school.
Yeah. It is a little bit, yeah.
Ray's run a couple versions of the poster already. Recently, she added this code, which has linked hundreds of people to our investigative reporting on how the state government helped PG&E to avoid accountability after the campfire.
Thank you for everything that you've done. I'm very grateful that there's still people who are out there and still bringing awareness to this.
Every version of the poster is sealed with a kiss. X's and O's from PG&E.
I wanted it to be, I guess, snarky. I wanted to give the same attitude that PG&E has been giving to everybody that they've affected. They don't take accountability for their actions, and people get hurt because of it, and people have died because of it, and people continue to suffer from it. I would hope it was this obvious to everyone, but since it's not, I'm just going to do my part to make it that obvious.
All right, so you may have picked up this is a bit of a passion project for Ray. You can actually download and print your own copy of her poster. She's making it available for free. That's in the article on abc10.com.
All right, Brandon, before we go, I do want to ask you, in terms of the Zogg Fire, when might we actually see a trial?
Yeah, so that's a big question right now. A lot of steps between now and a trial could slow things down. So it could be as early as April and as late as several years from now. So stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. All right, Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's take a quick look outside at our weather here. Feeling pretty nice this evening, I have to say. Sacramento at 59, Stockton also seeing 59, Modesto at 60. And here's a look at your 10-day forecast getting closer to the weekend. In honor of Black History Month, we are recognizing our Black community history and culture in Sacramento. So tonight, we hear from Senior Pastor Les Simmons.
Hi, I'm Les Simmons, Senior Pastor of South Sacramento Christian Center. You know, I'm a third-generation pastor on both sides of my family. My dad was a pastor and is a bishop, my mom as well too. And they come from a deep heritage of within the civil rights movement and community engagement. What it means to be Black to me is to know that I have a story of resilience, a story of struggle, a story of strength, a story of community.
All right, and if you don't know about the South Sacramento Christian Center, let me tell you, it is a staple of the community. They have church services, free groceries for those in need. I mean, they have youth events, COVID testing, and so much more. So all month long, we are definitely putting the spotlight on our local Black communities as they share about their culture and heritage. And also, before we go, I want to give a huge shout out to ABC 10 investigative journalist Andy Judson. She has been named a First Amendment champion by the Society of Professional Journalists. And Andy is being recognized for her series, Price of Care, taken by the state, that aired here on To The Point just last year. It brought to light the faults in California's limited conservatorship system. And you can find Andy's reporting at abc10.com/price of care. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As always, we love to hear from you. So text us, email us, reach out to us on social media. I hope you have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.